Hey y'all, welcome back to Homemade Simple. If we've not met before, I'm Lori. I'm so glad that you're here today. In last week's video, I talked to you a lot about my goals for 2024, which really boiled them down, include getting my life together and saving as much money as I can while spending less and less every month on our grocery budget. So that's what we're going to talk about a little more in depth today. I want to go over a couple of things that I like to make in my own home without having to source them from the grocery store. I know sometimes that can sound really overwhelming and too hard, especially if you're just beginning this frugal living journey. You are able to do them no matter what your kitchen looks like or what appliances you own. So I'm going to talk about replacing several of your household cleaners and laundry detergents, as well as some of your food items that you can create in your own home for much cheaper, and also giving you more control over the ingredients that you put into your pantry and into your meals. So let's get started talking about all of these things that we can stop buying at the grocery store. Laundry detergent is so expensive, and I have discovered that it really does not have to be. I have been washing my clothes for the past probably 4 months with just borax and peppermint oil. I have not had any problems with the clothes not getting clean, and if you recall, we have farm animals. We have a tendency to get our clothes pretty dirty, and we also have a little boy who loves to play in the dirt. So we know if something is going to work or not, and I can assure you that this borax is going to get your clothes absolutely as clean as you need them to. If you want to add a little more, you can also add in this super washing soda. It is like a booster for detergent, and I use this in addition to this, or I just use the borax by itself. The peppermint oil, I also have used lemon essential oil. I choose these because they are really easy to find, and they are also pretty inexpensive. But these I actually found, I think I found this one on clearance at Walmart, and I found this one on clearance at Aldi. So the quality of them doesn't really matter as long as they are 100% essential oil and it's not got anything that will damage your washing machine or your laundry. I think any essential oil that you have on hand that you like the smell of is a really good choice. Also, these both have cleaning power in them, so they will both kill germs, and that's also an added benefit. They also really smell good, and you might not believe it, but peppermint scented clothing really smells super clean and fresh. You could also use orange or tea tree, anything that you can find quickly and easily. Those would be really good options. So I just get a jar with a lid, pour the borax into the jar, and then use that scoop to scoop out 2 full scoops. And then if we want to add the super washing soda, we can just do half and half and mix it up, or whatever you feel like might be the best mixture. Again, I don't use this all of the time, but it does give it a little bit more of a boost if you want to spend a little bit more. A box of borax at Walmart is less than $4. I would say this would do at least 100 loads, but it's going to be just pennies a load, and it's going to get your clothes nice and clean. Now you will notice that I don't have any soap, and I have seen a lot of people complaining about the homemade washing powders messing up their washing machines. I really think that that is the soap that causes the problem, and so I don't put soap in my laundry detergent anymore. I just use the powder, and it seems to work just fine with none of the side effects. A good bottle of distilled white vinegar is going to be your friend when you're talking about making your own cleaning supplies. This is a inexpensive glass bottle. You can actually get glass bottles at the Dollar Tree. So they will be just a little over $1, and they do have plastic spray nozzles. That is what's going to give you the trouble if anything starts going bad. So at $1.25, you can just replace them whenever the sprayer stops working. I do have a little bit left, but it is time for me to start refilling. So I'm going to show you what I do when it's time to refill my cleaning bottle. I'm going to start by filling this bottle about halfway up with this white vinegar. The rest of this bottle can be filled with water. Okay, this is where you have several options for your next step. A lot of times I will just use an inexpensive essential oil like lavender or orange oil to give this a little bit more cleaning power. You can also add a drop or two of your liquid dish soap. By the way, have become a new fan of Trader Joe's. We will talk about that more in a different video, but this is a more natural dish detergent that will work really good. If you just want to add a couple of drops, that way it won't suds up when you are cleaning, but it will give it a little more cleaning power. That's all there is to it. Making your own cleaner is literally that simple. Now, you can go a step further and make your own orange oil or orange infused vinegar to use when you are filling this bottle halfway up with vinegar. Let me tell you how to do that. So, anytime you have any citrus that you have eaten, you can keep a container of vinegar. This is just the same white vinegar that I poured into this jar, and I just fill it until all of the peels are completely covered. And then as we eat more citrus fruits, we just will throw the peels into the jar, leaving it covered so that nothing gets into it. And this is going to, in a couple of weeks, I guess maybe you can see how it's an orange tint. That just is all of the orange oil being extracted from the peel into the vinegar. This is going to be a much more powerful cleaning tool than the regular vinegar. So this will have more antimicrobial, antibacterial properties in it because of the orange oil itself. You don't want to use an entire sprayer full of this. You really want to make sure and dilute it, maybe even a quarter of the spray bottle being this infused vinegar and then the rest water. That will be probably a better mixture. That way it will still be streak free and not leave any residue. But this cleaner itself, just the vinegar and water with a little bit of essential oils, this is good for all of your cleaning needs. This is going to be antibacterial, antimicrobial, and it will save you a ton of money in the long run. A couple more things that I have started doing to save money at the grocery store is to eliminate paper towels and napkins. It's very infrequent that we're going to purchase paper towels at our house, and what I have found is using these paperless napkins really are good for keeping by the sink to replace your paper towels. They come like rolled up, but I'm sorry about the shadows. Let me see if I can fix that. They come like rolled up in a paper towel looking roll, but after you wash them, I really do not know how to get them to roll back up. So I just found this little napkin holder and I fold them up in threes and put them in there and put them beside the sink. This is really handy. I can use them to wash the dishes. I can use them to dry my hands. I can use them to dry up a spill. And once they get dirty and grungy, I mean, if you care about that kind of thing, you can throw them out and get you some new. You can find these on Amazon. I will link them in the description box. Also, you can take an old towel. That's what this is. Someone had given me this towel and I absolutely loved it. It was like a tea towel fabric, but it got a big hole in it and I didn't want to throw it away. So I cut it up into a lot of different pieces. It was a big towel, so it probably made about 10 or so of these paper towels. And just wash them, fold them, and put them in this little napkin holder, and they are ready to use without having to buy paper towels. Same goes for napkins. I really try not to buy napkins anymore. Again, sometimes if we're having company, we will choose to do that, but these napkins are really easy to find at any estate sale or yard sale. Pretty much everybody is trying to get rid of some linen whenever they have an estate sale. And so you can find just a great variety of different fabrics. They're already sewn on the edges so they're not going to fray. They're really high quality and durable. Just throw them in the wash and they're ready to go again and again and again. And you probably have spent just 5 cents or 10 cents on each napkin that you can use literally for years and years. So this added up is going to be such a huge money saver. I'm sorry about the dogs. I have no idea what's going on outside, but apparently we're being overtaken by an army. I don't know. But you can just reuse these over and over again, and think about how much you can save by not buying paper products at the store. A pack of napkins, I think, is at least $5. And then if you get 6 rolls of paper towels, you're probably talking $8 or so. And this is just such a great solution to that need in our home. We can spend a little money up front and save a ton of money throughout the years. The last cleaning item that I want to talk about us making at home instead of buying it at the store is a homemade floor cleaner. And I like to use this Cider round mop. I like it because it removes a lot of the water out of the mop so that it doesn't get the hardwood floor extra wet. But I also like it because it is contained, it all comes together, and it's really easy to fill with your own homemade cleaner. So whenever it's time to mop the floor, which I don't do near enough, I will fill this with water, and then I will add about 2 cups of the white vinegar that we talked about earlier. And then it's time to add the essential oils again. So you can add about 10 drops of essential oils to half of this bucket. It has a max level on here. You can see that the max level goes to about right there. So that much water, and adding about 10 to 15 drops of essential oils and a couple of drops of dish detergent, which will allow the essential oils to incorporate into the water. That is going to give you a really good smelling, antibacterial, antimicrobial floor cleaner without having to pay $4 or $5 for the bottle of Pine Sol at the grocery store. I will make sure and link this mop down in the description below, and all of the essential oils that I like to use on a regular basis. I feel like the last 2 weeks I have talked your ear off. I'm sorry about that. We will get back to recipes and cooking videos next week, but I want to talk to you now about a couple of food items that I like to make on my own, or that I'm learning how to make on my own. Every time that we learn a new skill, every time that we learn how to do something ourselves instead of having someone else do it for us, that's going to give us a sense of accomplishment, and it's also going to strengthen our ability to be more self-sufficient. I've talked about on the channel several times what I mean by self-sufficiency is not that I have my life completely together and I don't need anybody else, because I do think that God has given us community and that there's a lot of benefit in community. So I'm not talking about that kind of do it myself, look out for number one kind of mentality. But whenever we can do things on our own, it gives us a sense of peace whenever there's turmoil in the world. And as an example, whenever things started getting really expensive at the grocery store and things like in 2020, things started disappearing off of the shelf. Being able to know how to do a couple of things myself and also having some animals in the backyard really made the fear subside and gave me a sense of peace about the future. So I think all of that comes from blessings, and it's not anything in and of ourselves. But if we can learn a new skill once a month, and we can add to our skill set things that we can do for our families at home, I think that's going to really help us to develop into stronger, more mindful people and be able to spend less at the grocery store, which is a huge added benefit. So let's talk about making a couple of things at home instead of sourcing them at the grocery store. Next up, I want to talk about making our own apple cider vinegar. You are going to be amazed. If you've never made your own apple cider vinegar, you're going to be shocked at how simple and easy it is to do. It does take a couple of months, so you can get started now, and then you'll be able to replenish your stock anytime that you need it. So what we're going to do is start with some old apples. I talked last week about how I'm going to try to be more resourceful and stop being wasteful. You can see these apples have seen their better days. They were in the pantry and they were overlooked. So I'm going to cut these up to use in my apple cider vinegar, but you can also just use the cores and also the peels. So what I'm going to do is clean these in a bowl of water to remove any of the pesticides that may be present. You can also buy organic apples to start with, but I have found this item. It is so neat, and I love this item. I'm going to link it down in the description below. It is a vegetable cleaner, super easy to charge. It's got a little base that it charges on, especially whenever you buy conventional fruits and vegetables, but even if you get some organic fruits and vegetables at the store, you can fill up a container of water, put in salt, and then turn this appliance on and stick it into the bowl, and you will see that it's going to start ionizing the water, which is going to eliminate all of the germs and bacteria as well as remove all of the pesticides. I could not believe that something like this existed, and I'm really excited about it. I've used it during the summer with all of our fruits and vegetables that I bought at the store, and I just wanted to share it with y'all. Okay, so I have my clean and chopped apples. Again, it's better to just use the scraps of the apples that you're going to eat, but I let these apples go bad, so it's better than throwing them to the chickens. So I'm just going to fill a container halfway full with these apples. You can use all parts of the apples, the peel, the seeds, the cores, the stems, everything is really good to have that included. And now I'm going to mix up a combination of 1 tablespoon of sugar to 1 cup of water. I have 4 cups of water, so I'm going to add 4 tablespoons of sugar. Going to give that a good stir. I always overfill this. I need to get rid of this because I'm always making a mess with this measuring cup. Okay, so I've gotten it mixed together. Technically, you should use filtered water for best results, so just be mindful of that. And I'm going to pour this on top of my apples. That's it. That's all you do. I'm going to cover this with a coffee filter. You can also use a fabric napkin or a tea towel just to keep all of the dust and fruit flies out. I'm going to tie it with a little bit of this twine. And now every week for 2 weeks, we're going to want to take the lid off, give this a good stir, and make sure that it is in a dark place, maybe in a cabinet or in your pantry with the door closed almost all of the time. it's important for it to have a warm and dark environment. What you're going to see is the bubbles are going to start forming probably around day 3 to 5, and just continue to stir every day. After 2 weeks, you can just put a lid on it, put it in a dark place, and let it sit for probably about 2 months. After 2 months, all of the sugar is going to have been converted, and you're going to have a wonderful batch of homemade raw apple cider vinegar that's going to help keep you healthy for the entire year. Apple cider vinegar is a great additive to your cup of water every day. It will really boost your immune system. It's really good for your stomach and gut health. So apple cider vinegar is something that we all need to be consuming, and being able to make it ourselves out of just scrap apples and some water and a little bit of sugar is going to really reduce our grocery bill. Let's talk next about preserving our butter wrappers and what we can use them for. You may very well already do this, but this is such a good tip for saving a lot of money on things like Pam cooking spray. So instead of buying the spray for, I think it's like $4 or $5 in the store, it also has some ingredients that are not very healthy for us. We can save the wrappers from our butter quarters and just put them in a baggie in the refrigerator or in the freezer, and when it's time to grease a cookie sheet or a casserole dish, just use the butter that is on these papers instead of spraying it with Pam cooking spray. This is going to save a lot of money, and it doesn't really seem like much. It's like something that we would absolutely throw away. It's not going to take a lot of room up in our refrigerator or freezer to keep them, but it is going to save a lot of money and allow us to have a much healthier option whenever we are cooking a casserole for our family. Next up, let's talk about bone broth. I have gotten a rotisserie chicken, and I'm just going to take all of the chicken off of the rotisserie chicken, and then I'm going to be left with the bones and the cartilage. It's called the carcass. That sounds sort of gross to say, but anyway, that's what we're left with. And then I'm going to take it and put it into the pot of water. I'm going to add all of the bones and the skin, all the things that are left after I've deboned it. I'm going to add that to a big pot of water. I'm going to put this on my stovetop, simmer this on low all day long. So at least 6 hours, preferably longer, up to about 12 to 15 hours. If you can get this cooking for longer, more and more collagen and other nutritious and beneficial ingredients are going to be incorporated into the bone broth. So the longer you can cook it, the better. You can also do this in your Instant Pot. You can also do this in your crock pot. But after about 6 to 12 hours of simmering on the stovetop, I put it into this bowl and put it in the refrigerator. What we want to have is like a more gelatin-like consistency. This did not gel up quite as much as I had hoped, but you can see how very thick this is. So again, the longer you cook it, the more collagen is going to cook out of the bones, but it's still got a lot of the nutrients that we're looking for in a good bone broth. So think about the amount of money that they charge for a 32-ounce container of bone broth. Probably, I would say it's probably $3 to $4 each. This would be the equivalent of at least 3, maybe 4 of those. So by just using the things that we would have thrown away otherwise, we have gotten some good, nutritious bone broth ready to use in all of our cooking. So now, after I've got it cooled down, what I'm going to do is filter it a bit with this coffee filter. This is actually what I use when I'm filtering my milk. Sometimes it's easier just to use a spoon to spoon it in, and you can just get this into a mason jar, and then you can either can this mason jar and be able to have it shelf stable. You can freeze the jar, but you'll need to leave plenty of room for it to expand, or you can just leave this in your refrigerator and it'll stay good for about 2 weeks or so. So this is going to be a really good option for soups and different casseroles. It's going to give such a nourishing addition to our meals without spending a fortune on store-bought bone broth. Okay, this is the last one we're going to talk about today. I told you last week I really wanted to learn how to make my own dairy products like sour cream and cottage cheese. I was able to make my own sour cream this week. I had no idea how simple it was. Honestly, I didn't video it because I figured it was going to be a flop. It was not. Let me show you how beautiful it turned out. This was so easy to make, and it turned out to be so thick, and it just looks so good. I mean, it almost looks like frosting. It's such a good consistency, and it just, honestly, it looks so much better than the store-bought. I guess that's because of the raw milk that I used, but what I found out is you can use any milk. So I'm going to go ahead and use this heavy cream that I have in my refrigerator, but you can go and buy some heavy cream in the store, and all you have to do is for every 1 cup of heavy cream, you're going to add 2 tablespoons of sour cream. Now this is like grocery store sour cream, you know, like the Daisy sour cream. That's what you're wanting to add. And then you're going to stir it up really well. And the next step is you're just going to leave this on your shelf or on your counter for 24 hours. And this is going to thicken up just like this consistency, and it's going to taste exactly like store-bought sour cream, except you are going to have made it and you're going to know how to make it, and then all you have to do is get the heavy cream, because you can use your homemade sour cream to culture your next batch. So I thought that this was such an interesting thing to know how to do. I'm really excited. We use a crazy amount of sour cream in our house, and I am really excited about knowing how to make my own. That was so much fun to me to go over how to do all of those homemade items that we no longer have to buy at the grocery store. I know that makes me a little bit of a homemaking nerd, and I'm okay about that. But what I really want you to do is share all of your recipes for all of the things that you like to make at home instead of having to buy them at the grocery store. I know that there's a million more. I've actually gone over several other options that we can make at home instead of buying at the grocery store in different videos throughout last year. I will link some of those down in the description box. Maybe you can check them out. I'll make sure and link these items down in the description box so that it will make it easier for you to find all of these items when you're ready to make these things at home for your family. Thank you so much for watching today. If you have not subscribed to the channel, I hope that you will do that. Also, I hope that you will check out my Instagram account. It's My Homemade Simple. I will link that down below as well. And be sure to share this video with a friend or a family member that you think might be interested in saving more money at the grocery store. Thank you again for watching today. I hope you have a wonderful week. I love you, and I will see you again next time.